Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Dzul, Harith, Najmi, Badri. Card matrix number is 01DIT23F2027 from class DIT N6. So today I'm going to show you about the CSS tutorial. CSS stands for Cascading Style, Sheet Style. Sorry. So first, CSS is used to define a visual presentation such as layout, font, and color. So in the first tutorial, we're going to see an example about the CSS. So as you can see, in CSS we can change the background color. So like right now is light blue, so you can change the background color to, let's say, white, or sorry, or gray. So when we run, the background color change to gray. And then for the color of the text, which is the H1, you can change the color from white to, let's say, black. And we run, the color of my first CSS example turns to black. Same as the text align, we can change the center to left side or the right side. So as for the font family, we can change the font to, let's say, Arial or Arial. And then when we run, the text change from the Verdana to Arial. You can also change the font size. So we're going to change from 20 to, let's say, 18. So when we run, the text size is also changed. So as for the H1, my first CSS example, we can change from this to, let's say, we remove the example. And then for the P, we change, this is a paragraph to, this is a text, this is text. So when we run, it change to whatever we code in the HTML. Okay, so for the next is the CSS selectors. So the CSS selector are used to find or select the HTML elements you want to style. So we can divide the CSS selector into the 5 categories. So the first one is simple selectors, such as name, ID, and class. Second is combinator selectors, which is to select element based on the specific relationship between them. So next is pseudo class selectors, select element based on the certain state. Next is the pseudo element selectors. Select and style a part of the element. Last is the attribute selectors to select element based on an attribute or attribute value. So for the example, you can see that here all piece element on the page will be center line with the red text color. So from here you see we put the text line on top of the color so that when we put, like, let's say here the text align, we choose it to be center, so the text color will be red, just like this. And then we pick the paragraph. Every paragraph will be affected by the style, so we can see that every paragraph here, the me too and the and me, it is aligned. center line, and the color is red due to the code. So next is the CSS Universal Selector. So Universal Selector selects all the HTML element on the page. So we can see here, text align center, color blue, and then the H1 is hello world paragraph, same as before. So when we run, the line will be center, the color will be blue, and then all the element below the text line center blue will be blue color and center line. So next is the CSS grouping selector. So the grouping selector selects all the HTML elements with the same style definition. So let's look at the following CSS code. The H1, H2 and the P element have the same style definition. So for the H1, text align center color red, H2 text align center color red, and the paragraph P text align center red. It will be better to group the selector to minimize the code. To group selector separated each selector with a comma. So for the example, you can see H1, comma, H2, comma, P. So when we try, we combine, we group all the um, here H1, H2, P, text align, center, red. So all the element will be combined together to minimize the code. Yeah. Hello world, smaller heading, and this is paragraph. So the reason for doing so is to minimize the code. Next is the CSS selector code challenge. For the code challenge, the instruction is inside the editor, complete all the following steps. First is to use an element selector to set all P element color to dim gray. Next is the color is class selector to set highlight background to yellow. And then ID selector to set intro font size to 20 pixels. So the coding for the element selector, we put color and then dim gray, and then for the dot highlight, we put the background color to yellow. For the intro, font size is 20 pixels, and then everything else is the same. So when we check the code, it will be like this. Welcome to CSS selectors. This is a normal paragraph, and for the highlight is this paragraph will highlighted. So next is how to add CSS. So to add CSS, a browser read a style sheet. It will be formatted to the HTML document according to the information in the style sheet. So there is actually three ways to inserting a style sheet. So first one is external CSS to link to an external CSS file. Next is internal CSS to use the style element in the head section. And the third one is inline CSS. It is to use the style attribute and the HTML element. So the first way is the external CSS. So when an external style sheet, you can change the look of the entire website by changing just one file. So each HTML page must include a reference to the external style sheet file inside the link element. So inside the head section. So if you can see here, for the example, inside the head, so we put the link rel style sheet, and then href for the reference, and mystyle.css. So for the external style, we put the .css file. So when we run, it will be like this. So like inside the .css file, it already code the color, the h1, and the paragraph, the p. So we see here, this is the heading for the h1 here, and the p paragraph, this is a paragraph. So in the my style, the css is already code for the background color. So an external style sheet can be written in any text editor. So we can also use Notepad, and must be saved in an .css extension. So when we save the file, so when we save the file, the name, we have to put all file and then .css, so that after we trying to put the .css in the code, it will be able to read the file because of the .css. So for the second way is the internal CSS. So an internal style sheet may be used if one single HTML page has a unique style. So the internal style is defined inside the style element inside the head section. So the head section style, background color linen, h1 color maroon, margin left, we put the value is 40 pixels. So when we try it myself, it will be able to be like this. So the background color is linen, the color of the text is maroon, the margin is left, and then the value is 40 pixels. So next is how to add inline CSS. So inline cascading sheet style. An inline style may be used to apply a unique style for a single element. So to use inline style, add the style attribute to the relevant element. The style attribute can contain any CSS property. So we use the inline, we have to change the attribute. So at the h1 style, we put the color and then the value, the property and the value blue, separated by semicolon, text align center, and then we put the this is heading for the h1, and then for the paragraph style, color red semicolon, this is a paragraph. So also we can change the color to whatever you like, such as if we choose this, the color black. So when we run, the color will change. So this is inline CSS. So next is multiple style sheet and cascading order. So for the multiple style sheet, with some properties have been defined for the same selector, which is the element in different style sheet, the value from the last read style sheet will be used. So assume that external style sheet we use the color navy, and then we assume that internal style sheet we use the orange color. So for the example, if the internal style is defined after the link to the external style sheet, which is the h1 element, it will be orange. We will use the latest internal style. So we put the link style sheet type tag slash CSS, and then for the reference my style.css. So the color will be changed to orange. So so the for the background it is a sky blue, and then for the text, if the previous text is navy and the latest internal style is orange, it will be use the orange, not the navy one. So next is the CSS how to catch challenge. So for the instruction, add an external style sheet by inserting link with a rel style sheet and href my_style.css. So add an internal style sheet inside the style tag set #1 color to navy, and then add an inline style on the p paragraph element set color to red. So before style, at the head we put the link rel style sheet href my style.css. So under the style we put #1, we open, and then color set to navy. So #1 three ways to add CSS. So the paragraph style color we set to red. This paragraph use inline CSS. So when we check the code, it will be happen like this. Three way to add CSS will be the color navy. This paragraph use inline CSS, we change to red. Next is CSS comment. So in CSS comment, I used to explain the CSS code and may help when you edit the sources and later date. So when we run a code that has comment, the comment wouldn't run inside the code. It means that it won't disturb the code. So unlike any other coding, when we use the forward slash and then exclamation mark and dash dash to make a comment. So in CSS, all you need is the forward slash symbol and then star symbol. So we can put whatever text we want, like this. This is a single line comment, and then we use the paragraph to, let's say, color it. And then so like comment, the comment itself will change to gray color. So like this is a single line. So when we run the code, the comment wouldn't shown in the result because it is not it wouldn't show in the code. Next one is an very interesting topic, which is the CSS color. So in CSS color, color are specified by using a predefined color name for which RGB, HEXX, HCL, RGBA, HSLA value. So in CSS, we may be able to use many color, but it also has a limitation. So in CSS, we use a predefined color name, which is tomato, grey, orange, steel blue, dojo blue, violet, light grey, and magenta green. So in code, we put the color under the body, which is with the H1 style background color, and then we just simply put the predefined color, which is tomato, orange, dojo blue, medium sea green, and grey, and many more. You can also set the background color for the HTML element, such as if we're using the hello world and then the Lorem Ipsum, we'll be able to use the H1 style, which is we put the background color to Dojo Blue into the hello world, and then we put the P for the paragraph, style background color for the tomato for the Lorem Ipsum text. You can also set the color of the text, such as for the hello world we choose the color tomato. For the Lorem Ipsum we use the Dojo Blue, and the other text we use the medium shade pen. You can also set color of the borders. If you're not going to choose the color for the text, you can also choose color for the borders, such as this example. We're using the border and columns. We choose the two packs solid, and then we just simply put the color, such as the tomato for the hello world, Dojo Blue for the hello world, and many more. So in CSS, we can also choose the color by being specified using the RGB values, hex values, HCS values, RGBA values, and HSLA values. So for the color tomato, we can use this code FF6347, or we can use the RGB code, which is the 255, 99, and 71, and HSL value, which is 9, 100%, and 64. So in code, within the H1 style background color, and then just simply put the RGB and the code or the codes of the tomato color. So for the challenge color, it, the instruction is to set the H1 color using the color name tomato, set the H2 color using the hex value, and then set the P for the paragraph color using the RGB value. So for the H1, color name, so as the instruction we choose the color tomato, and for H2, we use the hex value, and for P paragraph we use the RGB value. So when we generate the check the code, it will be like just like this. For the color name, tomato hex value, which is the blue, and then the RGB value, the medium C grade. So for the next one is CSS background. So in this chapter we learn about the following CSS background properties. The first one is a background color. Next is background image. Next is background repeat. Next point is background attachment. Next is background position, and lastly is background shorthand property. So for the background color, properties specify the background color of the element. The background color of a page is set like this. It is below the body, so we use the background color with the color light blue. To the background we change like this, and then the other element you can set background color for an HTML element. For the first one is for the H1 background color green, and then background color light blue, and the paragraph background color yellow. So after we run the code, you will get like this. For the CSS background color sample, the color will be the green, and then for the this is attached inside the div element, and we are still in the div element will be the color light blue. Lastly, this paragraph has its own background color with the color yellow. So next is the opacity or transparency. So the opacity property specify the opacity or transparency of an element. You can take a value from 0.0 to 1.0. The lower the value, the more transparent it is. So this for opacity 1, opacity 0.6, and lastly opacity 0.3. So the lower the value, the more transparent it is. So next is transparency using RGBA. So if you do not want to apply opacity to a child element, like in our example above, use RGBA color values. The following example set the opacity for the background color and not the text. So this is for the 100% opacity all the way to the 10% opacity. So we use background RGBA, and then we put the code, and then with the // star green background with the 30% opacity. So for the CSS background color properties, the property is the background dash color, and then the description just put whatever color that you like. So next is CSS background image. So for the background image properties, specify an image to use as the background of an element. By default, the image is repeat, so it's cover the entire element. So for the example, to set the background image for the page, under the body background that dash image, and then just put URL, and then just put the GIF. So for the CSS background image repeat, the background dash repeat property set is for how a background image will be repeated. By default, a background image is repeated both vertically and horizontally. So some image should be repeated only horizontal or vertically, so they will look or they will look strange like this. Background dash image URL, and then the gradient will look just with as is. So for the CSS background repeat horizontally, if the image above is repeated only horizontally, right, with this code background dash repeat colon repeated dash x, the background will look better. The background will look even better than the last one. CSS background dash repeat no repeat. So showing the background image only once is also specified by the background dash repeat property. So if we include the URL of the image tree, and then when we choose the background repeat, no repeat, the background will look like this. So lastly, CSS background position. So the background position property is used to set the starting point of the background image. By default, the background image is placed at the top left corner of an element. So by default, the background image will be placed like this. Next one is the CSS background attachment. So the background dash attachment property specify whether the background image should scroll or be fixed. So if the H1 we put the background attachment property, and then for the background we put the background image is fixed. The when we run the code it will be like this. The image background image is fixed. Try to scroll down to the page. So for the CSS background shorthand, so shorthand property, to shorten the code, it is possible to specify all the background properties in one single property. This is called the shorthand property. So within the same body, we can use all the background, which is background color, image, repeat position. We can use the shorthand property, which is the background. When we run the code, it will look like this. The background property is a shorthand property for the following property. It can be used for the color, image, position, size, repeat, attachment, origin, and clip. If some of the property values are missing, they will be set to their initial, which is the default value. So for the CSS background code challenge, the instruction inside the editor complete the following step. So the first one is in the body selector, set background color to light blue. In the body selector, set the background image to URL. Next is set background repeat to no repeat. And lastly, set background position to right top. Uh, so for the background color, we use light blue. For the images, URL AMG underscore 3.png. For the background repeat, we use no repeat. Background position right top. So when we check the code, they look like this. So for the next chapter is the border. So the CSS border property allow you to specify the style, weight, and the color of the element border. So here's the variety of example of the border. So we use the border the style to property specify what kind of border to display. So here's the following values that are allowed: dot, dash, solid, double, groove, rich, inside, outside, none, and hidden. So this is the example of all the different border style. So for the dot border, dash border, solid border, double border, groove border, edge border, inside border, outside border. This is no border and hidden border, mixed border. So when we run the code, it will look like this. So next is the border width. The property specify the width of the foreborder. So we can use the border styles as a solid, and then we choose the border width with 5 packs, and then the result will look like this. So for the specific side width, the property can have from 1 to 4 values for the top border, right border, bottom border, and the left border. So when we run the code, the result will look like this. So for the border color, we can use the command of border dash color property used to set color of the foreborder. The name can be set to name, hex, RGB, HSL, or transparent. So this is the demonstration of the different border color. So when we run the code, the result will look like this. So for the specific set color, property can have from 1 to 4 values. So when we try to run the code, the top border is red, the left is yellow, the bottom is blue, and the right is green. So next is CSS shorthand border property. So like you saw in the previous page, there's many properties to consider when dealing with borders. To shorten the border, it is possible to specify all the individual border property in one property. We can use the border property, see the shorthand property for the following individual border property. It is cover border width, style, and color. So we can use the border, and then we just input the value 5 packs solid, right? And then the result will look like this. This is for the left border. For the bottom border, next is the CSS rounded border. We can use the border dash radius property to add rounded border to an element. So this is for the example. The result of the code will look like this: normal, round, rounder, and rounders. So for the CSS border code challenge, the challenge is border to test your understanding of CSS by completing a small coding challenge. For the instruction, give p.solid a solid border style, p.dash a dash border style, p.tick a border using a shorthand, and then p.round to solid border and a border radius of 5 pack. So border style solid, border style dash, border style 3 packs solid red, border style solid. This for period round, and then we will check the code and look like this. Next is initiated is CSS margin. So for the margin property, I used to create space around element outside of any defined border. So margin define the distance between an element border and the surrounding element. With CSS, you have full control over the margin. CSS is a property for setting the margin each in the dual side of an element. So margin set to 70 px and the border for 1 px solid, and then we use the code. So when we run, we get CSS margin, and then this is margin. So for the individual side, CSS has property for specifying the margin for each side of element, which is the top, right, bottom, and left. All the margin properties can have the following value: auto, length, percent, and inherit. Negative value and are also allowed. So in this example, to set a different margin for all 4 sides of the element. For the margin top, margin bottom, right and left, and also for the background color. So the result will get like this. So the margin shorthand property, we can use the margin property as a shorthand property for the following individual margin property: top, right, bottom, and left. So as for the example, we just use under paragraph here the border, margin, and the background color, and the result will look like this. Next is CSS margin collab. Margin collab is when two margin collab into a single margin. As for the example demonstration and margin collab, you can see here on H1 margin bottom 50 px, and for the H2 margin top 20 px. When we run the code, it will look like this. The following example, each P element has a top margin of 30 px and a bottom margin of 30 px. So the vertical margin of the P element should be around 60 px, which is the bottom and top additional. However, due to margin collapse, the actual margin ended up being just 30 px. This is the result of the code running. For the CSS margin code challenge, the instruction is to set dot box margin to top to 30 px and the margin bottom to 30 px. To set dot box margin left to 50 px and the center rule width set to 300 px and the margin of to 0 or 2. So the background color, we use the code number. The color is white, padding 15, margin top, bottom and left. For the center width 300, margin 0 or 2. So when we run the code, the result will look like this. For the last chapter is CSS padding. So the padding property I use to generate space around an element content inside of any defined border. So with CSS, you have a full control over padding. These are the properties setting for the padding each side of an element. So padding, colon, we choose 70 px, and the border is from px solid. It will look like this. For the padding individual side, CSS has properties for specifying the padding for each side of elements, the padding top, right, bottom and left. All the properties can have the following values: length, percentage, inherit. Also the negative value are not allowed. So for the example, border, background color, we insert the padding top, right, bottom and left. So when we run the code, it will look like this. Padding shorthand property. To shorten the code, it is possible to specify all the padding property in one declaration, which is the padding. That is, follow shorthand property for the following individual padding properties: top, right, bottom, and left. So, as for the example, we use padding, set border, set the padding, and then the background color. When we run the code, it looks like this. And the padding property has three values, such as like this. Just the border, and then the padding is 25 px, 50 px, and 70 px. When we run the code, it will look like this. The padding property has two values, and we put the two values. When you run the code, it will look like this. The padding property has just one value, which is the 24 px. All four paddings will be kept as 25 px. It will also look like this, much smaller since it has only one value. So for the CSS padding and board sizing, the CSS weight property specifies the weight of the element of the content area. The content area is the portion inside the padding, border, and margin of an element. So if an element has to specify weight, the padding added to the element will be added to the total weight of the element. So this is as the example, the weight is 300 and the padding is 25 px. So when we run the code, the result will look like this. Padding and board sizing. The board sizing property defines how the width and height of an element are calculated. Should they include the padding border or not? Board sizing property can have a following value: content box and border box. As we can see in the example, for the EX1, the width is 300 and background color is yellow. For the EX2, width is 300, padding is 25. Board sizing, we choose the border box and the background color is light blue. When we run the code, the result will look like this. For the code challenge, the instruction set the .1 box. .box 1 padding using individual side, padding top 20 px, padding right 30, padding bottom 20, and padding left 30. Number 2, add a .box 2 rule, set the same padding using 4 value shorthand. So 20, 30, 20, 30. So this is the code. So now run the code. The result will look like this.